Okay, so I was initially going to title this video My Worst Takes, and I was going to go over books that I gave too much of a hard time or too much praise when I initially reviewed them. And I was going through and trying to make a list of my worst takes. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with most of my takes out there. I do have some bad ones, but not enough to warrant a whole video about it. So I decided to turn this video into my bookish regrets. They're things to do with reading, videos, reviews that I've done that I'm like, I should have done that differently, or I could have done that differently. So it's not too much of a serious list today, more pretty fun. But let me know down in the comments your bookish regrets. Do you read too much? Do you read not enough? Do you have just a monstrous TBR? Do you have a book buying issue? Actually, I may have to add that one to my list. I didn't think of it until right now. But but let me know your reading regrets down in the comments. Like, subscribe to the channel. Patreon links down in the description if you want a review for every book I read and help the channel extra. But number one, what is my biggest reading regret? Reading too many books at once, reading too many different series at once. I started my channel very early on into my reading journey because I just wanted to track all my thoughts on my books and start getting my thoughts out there. And as all of us on the bookish community online, my TBR just exploded. There's just so many different books I want to read, and there's so many different flavors of reads I want to try. So I am very bad at, I want to start this series here, and then I'll get this here, and then I'll start with this series next. And when I was at the peak of my reading speed, I would be reading like 3 to 10 books from different series across an entire month. It got a little bit out of hand. I've been working a lot on that this year, and I have massively shrunk the amount of series I'm in the middle of. I'm only really committed to about 4 series at the moment, and I should finish up 2 of those before the end of the year and only leave the 2 massive series I'm in the middle of, Malazan and Wars of Light and Shadow, because they're just massive series that are just going to last a long time unless I binge all the books together, which they're tough books to do. One of my other regrets is not binging books, or series I should say. I would love it if I could just binge a series, do all the books back to back, and then get reviews out to you with full context of books in the whole series, rather than telling you about the first book of the series. I can give you the whole series in context, which is another thing I've started doing to just get more enjoyment out of the books. I can be more immersed in the world if I'm not jumping around from series to series. So that's another big focus for me. Oh, I'm getting hot and sweaty. Okay, that's better. So binging series and reading fewer series at once are 2 of my goals, and the reverse are 2 of my regrets when getting into reading. Just wanting to read too many different things, trying to taste too many different flavors. I got a little lost in the sauce and probably wasn't able to give you the best reviews in full context of the series. But I think this is something I'm going to be able to stay on top of with my reading going forwards. And if you notice me start too many series going forwards, let me know, call me out, get me back on track. I appreciate it. Now, my third bookish regret is not raving enough about Attack on Titan when I started reading it and then ended up binging the TV series. This was a really, really great anime. The manga was good too. It was a little slower because I only read the mangas for the first few volumes before Marshall and I just ended up binging the show. But it's an incredible show, and I do a lot of just talking about books on my channel. I feel like I'm going to start talking more about the series I watch as well. Marshall and I have been watching the Vinland Saga at the moment, and that has been really good. So far in the first season, it very much feels like an anime version of Vikings or The Last Kingdom. It's really similar to around that time period. But we're just spending more time around Iceland, and it looks like we're going to get a pretty cool revenge story where we're going. And I'm also just going to start reading more mangas now. I'm reading One Piece at the moment, only 7 volumes in, and it's just been a really fun change of pace. So I'm able to focus mainly on a book, and then if I want a different flavor, I can go to a manga for a different flavor, rather than starting up a whole different book and just getting lost in the sauce again. So if you're looking for great TV, check out Attack on Titan, and I might try to start talking a little bit more about manga and anime on the channel, as they are things I enjoy too and fit similarly into the same space. Then my next regret is not prioritizing Malazan enough, not starting Malazan sooner and binging myself through all the books. This is a series that has a lot going on, and I should be committing to doing at least one of these a month. And who cares about other reads? Put those reads aside, because this is that incredible and deserves more attention. So I'm going forwards, I am going to have to try and really kick myself to, even though one of these books might take me an entire month to read and I might not read much else, who cares? Focus on that book and get into it. The same goes for Wars of Light and Shadow. These books both take a long time to read, and I can't then talk to you guys about too much, which is a struggle, like making content and, both consuming the content I need to be able to talk about it. So I just need to push through and make sure I'm prioritizing the great reads. Prioritizing Malazan as it is incredible. And I'm only halfway through and I should have already finished it by now and should have already been on a reread. Then the other regret in this same vein is I wish I started the Adan trilogy sooner by Philip Chase. I've been aware of it since release date and I should have read it sooner. This is a series that for me at the moment is feeling like a blend of Lord of the Rings and The Faithful and the Fallen. And it is just providing me so much fun and I just know I'm loving it now. I would have loved it even more had I read it earlier on in my reading journey. And it's just a really, really great read that I held off on for no good reason. It's a really great book. Next, we've got a sad one. As you can see by my last few videos on this channel, Empire of the Dawn, the last book of J. Kristoff's Empire of the Vampire trilogy, it ended on a sour note for me. It was still a good book, but the way it ended wasn't great. So my regret is having faith in Kristoff to finish a series. I've read 4 of his series now. And he's primarily his 2 adult ones. He just can't land a series for me. The way he just ends his books, like he'll write a great 3rd book, but with those last 20 pages, where he'll undo some of the magic of what he's done and just not end it right. I can't say too much else without giving hints of what spoilers could be for his books, but his endings aren't for me. So my regret is having faith that Kristoff would end my favourite series of all time. Well, because now, it's probably not going to be my favourite series of all time because that ending really pisses me off. And just to show you what I'm doing here with my hands, this is my Empire of the Vampire special edition that Marsha got me for my birthday. Love this book. I bought Empire of the Dawn when it came out. I went to the store and I got it. It is not on the shelf. We took it back to the store this morning and returned it. Very disappointing. Next point, also to do with disappointing books, never get an arc is what I've learnt. Whenever I've got an advanced reader copy for a book, whether it's been Fury of the Gods, The Devils, the last book in the Gale Song saga, they have been disappointments. And I got an advanced reader copy for Strength of the Few, and that makes me worried. What if I don't like that one either? Because I already did struggle with The Will of the Many. So, if I get an arc, it's probably a sign that I'm just going to not like the book, which is really, really disappointing. Because obviously, I've been sent this book early. I want to be able to rave about it because it's a book that I've requested because it's a series I love. And so far, every single time I've got a book early, coincidentally, I got Empire of the Dawn early, but it wasn't an advanced reader copy. It was just in the store early. So outside of Shadows Upon Time, when I've got a book early, I haven't enjoyed it, which is just disappointing. I think I'm cursed. Oh, another exception to the rule was Tears of the Fallen by Chance Dillon. This I did get and read early, and that certainly delivered. I'm just waiting for the audiobook to come out so I can reread that again before the 2nd book. Really love that series. Then talking about my worst takes, I've probably been too critical on Hobb for Fool's Fate. I really don't like how Fool's Fate ended. That's the 3rd book in the Tawny Man trilogy. So I've read 9 Hobb's books. So I've read 9 books of Hobb's and a novella, and I loved everything except that last book in Fool's Fate. So I've probably been a bit too salty in the last couple of months when I've been talking about Robin Hobb because of how much I really didn't like that ending. I think I've been too green on that ending, but maybe as a series as a whole, I could have been more positive on some of those books. And then going along that vein on some of my worst takes, I personally don't regret any of my takes on Lord of the Rings. I don't really have many takes on Lord of the Rings. It's not included in my top 10 series of all time, which gets a lot of comments. And I also said it was overrated recently in a quick short, which, it depends on the context you're talking about. If you're talking about Lord of the Rings as a whole, as its legacy, yeah, it's absolutely incredible and it did so much for the genre. But if you're talking about Lord of the Rings, as what I do on my channel is just recommending books for someone to read, I think it is overrated. I don't believe this is the best place to start when getting into the genre. Now, I love The Hobbit, I love The Lord of the Rings. They're very whimsical, cozy journeys, and I'm going to be rereading these soon. I've been craving some really good traveling fantasy, especially after reading the Adan books. I'm just really excited to pick these up. I'm going to try the audiobooks this time because I just hear really great things about Andy Serkis's narrating. But I don't think Lord of the Rings is where you start your fantasy reading journey in 2025. That's where I think it comes in as overrated as just a read by itself. I know a lot of people that read it as their first fantasy read because of how great the movies are, how much they love the movies, and then they really struggle to get through these books because, well, they're not like the movies, and they're not paced like a story you would read today. You know, like I think that's a pretty reasonable take when you have the chance to lay it out. But that's one of my takes. It gets a lot of hate online. Then, lastly, my last bookish regret: not doing enough rereads. I've been looking at these A Song of Ice and Fire illustrated editions on my shelf since I got them from Marsh for a birthday earlier in the year. Yeah, that's kind of a present for myself, let's be real. And I've just haven't had a reread yet. And then other books like Lord of the Rings, where I have been trying to read more new things to talk about them to you guys, and not just rereading other books so I can dive into them deeper and enjoy them on yet another level. And that is something I'm going to try to rectify next year, try to reread some series, and then I can also just talk to you guys about my reread and my experience getting deeper into these series and getting more out of them. I'm very excited to do that, and it is something I have not prioritized enough recently. So that is the end of my video. That is my reading, book content, reviewing regrets. Let me know yours. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great day.